Call to order
The
October 23rd, 2018
board meeting.
board meeting.
Please stand for the pledge.
Please stand for the pledge.
Hit the gavel. Excellent. Good job.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Why I like Woodland. Hi, my name is Anna Quasme, and I am a student at Woodland Elementary. I'm in 4th grade, and my teacher's name is Miss McGarvey. This is my 5th year at Woodland. Woodland has the best teachers in the world. Miss McGarvey is a great teacher because she encourages our class to keep going and never give up. Dr. Euchre is our principal. She's an awesome principal. On the first day of school, she and all the other teachers dressed up like superheroes. Dr. Euchre is the best principal because last year she planned an assembly about electricity, and there was a huge inflatable plastic bubble with fake money in it. Two students went in it and had to catch the fake money. We can't forget about all the time and effort the teachers put into school activities like music, green team, chess club, girls on the run, science explorers, safety rangers, reading Olympics, and a lot of other activities. Woodland is the best elementary school you'll ever go to, from the teachers to the principal, the lunch ladies, the special teachers, and most importantly, the education. Oh, and don't forget about Woody the Wildcat. I love Woodland. I hope this will be the best year yet. Watch out, Skyview. Here I come.
Very well done.
Should we go around to do a picture? All right.
Can you go down
Yeah,
front?
we're going to go around front so we can get a All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The public is hereby advised of the audio and video recording of this meeting for the purposes of rebroadcasting. By way of attendance, we have all board members in attendance this evening, 8 of us physically, 1 of us virtually. Mr. Navarrette's on the computer. Recognition of guests and scheduled speakers. Dr. Zerbe.
Thank you, Ms. President. This evening it gives me great pleasure to have 3 scheduled guests. But first, this evening we have Dr. Euchre here, principal of Woodland Elementary School, and she's here to give recognition to 2 outstanding individuals at Woodland Elementary School and in our community. Dr. Euchre?
Good evening, Board. Thank you for having us today. The first person I'd like to acknowledge is one of my first grade teachers, Mrs. Brower. Mrs. Brower, can you come up? Mrs. Brower possesses all the attributes of an amazing educator. Her main priority, helping students grow. Mrs. Brower doesn't stop with helping students grow academically. Each and every day, Mrs. Brower creates an environment where students grow emotionally, socially, and academically. Her classroom is warm, inviting, and child-centered. Educating the whole child is something that Mrs. Brower has done for over a decade at Woodland Elementary School. You can stop in any time during the day to Mrs. Brower's first grade room and see children smiling from ear to ear. This is because Mrs. Brower raises students' confidence, focuses on their strengths, and gives them a reason to try. Every student is made to feel unique, special, and talented in Mrs. Brower's room. Mrs. Brower is an amazing asset to the Methacton School District and exemplifies the definition of an outstanding educator. The second person I'd like to recognize is Mrs. Mary Chantry. Mrs. Chantry has been a part of the Methacton community for decades. Her dedication, compassion, and strong work ethic make her a staple of the Woodland community. At the drop of a hat, Mrs. Chantry will rearrange her day to meet students' needs. She goes above and beyond to help any staff member who needs it. Mrs. Chantry is always smiling and positive, which adds to Woodland's positive school culture. In fact, when someone is having a bad day, they know they can go to Mary and everything will be all right. Mrs. Chantry is respected by the entire staff and student body. People turn to her for advice on all issues, and Mrs. Chantry is always willing to lend a hand or an ear for that matter. We are comforted to know that Mrs. Chantry is in our corner at all times because she is a loyal, professional, and truly amazing part of our Woodland School. Thank you to all the Woodland teachers and families for coming out to support your colleagues. Thank you. Am I doing it too? Hi.
Thank you. It always gives us a pleasure to have our students join us on a monthly basis to tell us about our schools, certainly to lead us in a patriotic and noble pledge to the flag. But certainly, it's also nice to be able to welcome our staff. And I see that there's many that have come out to support those that have been recognized here this evening. We have such an outstanding staff. I wish we could have an opportunity to recognize every single one here on a monthly basis. But that line of shaking hands would be very long. And I think Ms. Euchre would be in every line. But with that, well, that might be what we ought to do. And so, but I really need to say that, and I appreciate our principals. I appreciate all the work that our staff does to make the opportunities available for students and this community. So with that said, there are a lot of opportunities being provided by the Methacton Education Foundation, and they're here this evening to present yet another check. And by all means, this is an excellent presentation this evening. We have Methacton Education Foundation President, Mr. Beam. There might be other members joining him this evening, and we'll have the check presentation. Mr. Beam.
Thank you, Dr. Zerbe and board members. Good evening. As I hope all of you know by now, the Methacton Education Foundation has been hard at work to support our school district, our school directors, our teachers, our community, and most importantly, our students. And tonight we are continuing that. I'm going to turn it over to Nikki Krelovich in just a second, our executive director, to tell you specifically. But what we're doing tonight is something we're presenting a check for an event that we held at the end of August when quite a number of you were present at Hebner Park. And it was the brainchild of Karen Marrow, who is here with us tonight. And it was an opportunity for us to help some of our economically disadvantaged students within the district through a program called the Backpack Program and some other ways in which we help that part of our community. It's very important that we help all of our students, from the very best and brightest to those going to college, to those not, to those in elementary school, and whatever level of our education system they may find themselves in. And the foundation is very pleased to be able to be here tonight to present yet another check in what's going to be a series of presentations that we're going to be making, because there is a lot that is happening. Our faculty and staff are very well aware of what's been happening recently. Our community will be hearing more about things. You will be hearing more from Nikki later tonight. But I'm very pleased with what Nikki, our executive director, is doing. And together, it just goes to show, together, when we work together, boy, we can accomplish a lot. And so that's what we're doing tonight with this presentation, and I'm going to introduce Nikki now so that she can tell you more specifics about just what happened and how we got here.
Thanks, Jim. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I'm going to invite down some folks who were integral to the success of the We Run Out Hunger 5K and 1 mile walk. As Jim said, the brainchild behind the whole thing, Karen Marrow, if you can come down and join us. Also with her team, leading the charge, Dina Lampy and Kim Beam, come on down. Our sponsors and longtime supporters of Methacton, we've got Fidavia, and representing them tonight is Margarita Donahue. And also another sponsor and another longtime supporter of Methacton is the Community Chiropractic Center, and representing them is Dr. Kristen Legnola, Kristen Moser, and Sarah Legnola. And thanks to the hard work of all of these people standing behind me, we will be presenting Methacton with a check for $14,560.23 tonight.
Power of we. Here we go. The foundation really knows the meaning of the power of we. That is our theme for this school year, and you know, we've done quite a bit, and we are going to do quite a bit more. And we appreciate their efforts and the efforts of members of our community working through the foundation. Another example of we this evening is a contribution to help what was designed to be our first ever reading program in the summer library program. And here this evening to present a check for $3,300 is Brenda Hackett from the Shenandoah Foundation, also a Methacton Education Foundation member and a former school board director. And Brenda, if you would please come to the mic and tell us about the program.
I have a letter from Jim Sorum, who is the CEO of Shenandoah. This is from the foundation at Shenandoah, and he addresses the school board saying, "Dear members, on behalf of the residents of Shenandoah and supported by the foundation at Shenandoah, please find the enclosed donation of $3,300. This donation fulfills the commitment made to the Methacton Elementary School's summer reading program by the Focus on Methacton Schools group at Shenandoah and our residents. We hope this donation will help to offset some of the expenses that help you provide this valuable service to the elementary school children throughout the Methacton School District. We are happy to support the summer reading program and wish you continued success." So we have this group at Shenandoah. It's called the Focus on Methacton Schools. We've been working on it for a few years, and this is the first time that we actually tried to raise some money. We've had some people be peripherally involved with the school district over this time. I know we had some interviews with some of the residents a few years ago. And today, in addition to having the contribution to cover the costs of the program in the summer, I want to tell you that there were 2 residents at Shenandoah who actually participated in the program, reading to the children at each of the 4 elementary schools. And we were very excited to do that. I'd also like to tell you that the group decided that for the current school year, efforts that will be made within Shenandoah, among the Shenandoah residents, will be focused on the Eagleville Elementary School. So we've kind of adopted Eagleville for the year. And we will be working with Dr. Reddish based on, what her needs are. And we're very happy to be involved. And we hope to be able to do more with the school district as time goes by. We have a huge community and lots of educators who live there. And so people do understand the value of education. And so that's why we're doing this. Thank you all.
Thank you. And that will end the presentations for this evening. We want to thank everyone for their attendance for those particular matters and their support of those individuals and organizations. I now will turn the rest of the meeting over to our president.
Thank you, Dr. Zerbe. We'll start off tonight with reports, and opening we have the Finance Committee and Mr. Earnshaw.
Thank you. The Finance Committee met on October 10th, and the meeting was called to order at 6:30 p.m. All committee members except for Mr. Navarrete were in attendance. In addition, Mr. Willard from PFM Financial Advisors was an invited guest to the meeting. Starting off was our monthly financial reports. Mr. Bricker presented the list of bills, treasurer's report, budgetary transfers, and the expenditure and revenue reports. He responded to questions received from the committee at the meeting as well as via email prior to the meeting. He also reviewed and provided commentary relating to September's year-to-date revenues and expenditures in comparison to the budget. On the agenda for approval tonight are the list of bills, the treasury report, and the budgetary transfers report. Mr. Bricker also reviewed the Healthcare Consortium report, which included information through the end of July, and responded to questions on that report. And he provided an update on the evaluation of alternatives to the district's current healthcare consortium. Moving into discussion topics, PFM, Mr. Willard provided a review of the district's debt, and he provided the committee with a document entitled Overview of Debt and Future Financing Discussion. He reviewed this document with the committee and responded to questions. This document included information relating to interest rate trends and projections, the district's current debt, and an example borrowing of $6.5 million to fund capital projects under the master plan. Prior to Mr. Willard leaving the meeting, the floor was opened to courtesy of the floor, and Jim Mollick from Worcester inquired about the timeline for capital projects, whether there had been any discussion with PFM regarding borrowings, and Dr. Zerbe provided responses. Mr. Bricker then gave an update on the status of the district's audit for 2017-18. Reported that the administration received the report and is in the process of reviewing the draft. The auditors will be presenting, or expected to present, at our committee's November meeting and to the full board at our November meeting. Next discussion related to the use of advertising funds received for the sale of advertising signage at the district's high school athletic fields. The committee discussed three alternatives, including reserving for future field replacement costs or other athletic-related activities, and deposit to the district's general fund. The committee recommended that this topic be brought to the board at a future meeting. The next item was the first student flat rate recommendation, and that's on the agenda for approval tonight. The recommended change will be in how first student bills the district for regular bus routes. Under the proposal, the district would bill the district, first student would bill the district $270 per route per day. This would improve the efficiency of the billing and invoice review process without increasing costs. The committee discussed the recommendation and was generally in agreement with the proposed change. Mr. Bricker provided further information about how the $270 amount was determined. And the district solicitor was in process at the time of reviewing a draft of such an amendment to the first student agreement. Dr. Zerbe also reported that the first student busing and routing contracts would auto-renew for additional year in the coming months, and the administration recommended these agreements be allowed to auto-renew. The committee discussed and agreed with the recommendation. Under this topic, Ms. Kanker also inquired about teacher field trips and busing, and Dr. Zerbe provided responses. The next item was the technology lease reimbursement, also a resolution that's also on the agenda for tonight. This resolution is completed annually and provides for the reimbursement of technology purchases of up to $1 million under a leasing arrangement. The final discussion topic was an update on the end of year for 2017-18 projection and the results versus budget. Mr. Bricker reported the estimated surplus is $2.5 to $2.7 million. He presented and reviewed the variances to budget that led to this surplus and responded to questions. The committee requested Mr. Bricker prepare a summary analysis relating to the overall favorable budget variance. In addition, we requested a comparison of actual results to forecasted results for 2017-18 and a comparison of 2017-18 actual to the 2018-19 budget. Earlier this year, we passed a resolution stating that any surplus in excess of 7% of the district's fund balance would be used to reduce capital spending under the district's master plan. In light of the amount of the 2017-18 surplus, I recommended that this resolution be revisited by the board, and I recommended this matter be discussed at the board's October work session. Courtesy of the floor, John Andrews from Lower Providence commented on or asked questions regarding the number of bus drivers, the list of bills, and the Malone and McBroom enrollment study. Jim Mollick from Worcester commented on or asked questions regarding the 2017-18 budget surplus, recommended its use for tax reduction, property tax rates, the Shenandoah legal case, Fidavia, and Arrowhead Elementary, including cost to build a replacement school, cost to repair the existing building, and savings or cost avoidance from closing the school. Howard Fu, a Methacton student, asked questions regarding the healthcare consortium and certain related terms, the budget, and the district's audit. Rebecca Varghese, also a Methacton student, commented on the use of Chromebooks in the district and the benefits from recent changes to printer availability. And finally, Paul Winters from Lower Providence commented on or asked questions regarding the list of bills, the 2017-18 surplus and forecast, and master plan capital spending, and the meeting adjourned at 8:38 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Earnshaw. Property and Transportation Committee, Mr. Navarette.
The Property and Transportation Committee met on October 8th at 6:30 p.m. In attendance were all committee members, Dr. Zerby, Mr. Bricker, Mr. Fretz, and Dr. Davia, Mr. Sakala, and Mr. Miller. Under Master Plan of 2018 capital projects, key points include a discussion, a reinforcement that the Arcola Auditorium project remains on track for substantial completion by November 30th. Mr. Sakala noted that the largest potential for unforeseen issues is now behind us. The high school mechanical, electrical, and plumbing work is now being closed and commissioned. Surgical work on the high school masonry is being planned for off hours. There are positive indications that the initial assessment by the engineers was conservative and less work may be needed to be done than originally thought. The emergency high school roofing work that was approved during the August 21st special meeting of the board has been completed. The area repaired was less than the low-end estimate of 850 square feet. It was requested that the final report, when completed, be presented to this full board. Under 2019 capital projects, Mr. Sakala updated the committee on the status of preparation for the summer 2019 work and noted that contracts may not be available for the October meetings. Under transportation, we discussed the flat rate recommendation that Brian already talked about during finance. Mr. Bricker also reviewed, updated the committee on continuing improvement efforts for bus routes, including changes to non-public school routes, including the removal of students not taking buses in order to reduce route times for everyone, and route splits needed to ensure timely arrival at schools. There was discussion about the impact of Trooper Road construction on routing and timing, the availability of transportation information within Power School to teachers, and then progress on the field trip request process. Under renewals and rates, Dr. Zerby informed the committee that it was the district's intent to continue with First Student, both for the routing and busing contracts. That was because of a required notification deadline that would need to be met if we were to terminate the contracts. Dr. Zerby also discussed with the committee his intent to bring back for consideration the traffic studies at both the Arcola Skyview campus and the high school. The district would like to have this information in hand as the board considers changes and improvements to both campuses, with the ultimate goal of improving traffic flows and creating safer campuses. During courtesy of the floor, John Andrews of Lower Providence asked about the status of the lot cores project, which is ongoing, suggested the congestion at Arcola and Skyview as a result of the school's staggered schedule, suggested later start times for high school students, and commented on the format of a recent right to know request, which Dr. Zerby committed to address. Jim Malik of Worcester commented on the timeline for addressing Arrowhead's required building repairs, the K-6 enrollment figures presented at recent board meetings, and perceived errors in the M&M enrollment study update. The meeting was adjourned at 8:06 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Navarette. Education Committee, Ms. Reese.
Ms. Cancro was kind enough to step in for me that evening and has the report.
So I want to thank Tara Rickey for writing the minutes for me. So the Education Committee meeting was held on 10/1. The call to order was at 6:30. Everyone was in attendance but Andrea Reese. The topic of discussion was the meeting began with a report on an undersubscribed courses in the high school. Dr. Sorgini gave board copy of report as per policy 126, classes with under 15 students. He noted that our goal is to provide students with as much access as possible to courses in the most efficient way. This year's list of 38 undersubscribed courses represents almost half of those from the previous year. The reduction in part was due to the eliminating electives that were not running. Of the undersubscribed courses that remain, Dr. Sorgini noted that those are electives will continue to fill once the year starts, and several have full selections for all but one class. Additionally, some of our AP courses have fewer than 15 students, but offering these courses allow our students greater opportunities. The next topic was Dr. Katona and Dr. Sergini provided an overview of action timeline for class rank. Dr. Katona updated the board on the work that is being done related to working towards a possible class rank change. Those including, first, having the high school administration gather information from other districts by the end of November. Second, a survey for parents, students, and staff. Third, bringing information back to the Education Committee in January of 2019 and bringing a recommendation to the board in spring for vote. The next topic was the comprehensive plan overview, which was reviewed at the work session last week. Dr. Katona presented the slides on the comp plan and in the overview of the components, reminded the board that the special education comp plan is part of this plan as well. She pointed out some educational highlights, including growth in the percentage of staff with advanced degrees, 4- and 5-year grad cohort rate from 96 and 97, growth in athletic and music participation, and 96% of the 2018 graduates continue to 2- or 4-year college or university. The next topic was ELD, English Language Development Update. Dr. Angstad shared as of 9/30/18, we are at 176 ELD students, 59 at Woodland, 12 which are incoming kindergarten, 144 students are active, which is direct instruction, 32 students being consult monitored. Consult was moved from 2 to 4 years by state, and 6 non-English speaking. And we're looking to move staff to better support Woodland. The next is the SHARS report, which is the School Health Annual Reimbursement Request System. Dr. Angstad provided the information, which is based on a school health system that looked at membership of entity. Cheryl, the nurse, pulls all the data and submits it to Dr. Angstad. The business office actually submits it in the system, and besides its cost that it highlights, it also lets us know what our nurse and medical staff are doing. Dr. Katona also shared that on this October 25th this week, K-5 Math and Literacy Night at Eagleville will be held from 6:30 to 7:30, which includes teachers doing activities related to our K-5 programs. The enrollment report was reviewed with no questions. Courtesy of the floor, Dr. Malik had questions about the Mild McRoom enrollment study and commented on whether or not there was a core study of facilities was done. He also discussed if the elementary schools were at its capacity. Dr. Andrews commented on the current high school schedule with emphasis on scheduling efficiency and timing of students to submit their course request. He also questioned concern with the enrollment report. Dr. Andrews suggested that the acronyms be used on the agenda be spelled out, such as ELD, English Language Development. The meeting was adjourned on 8/19.
Thank you, Ms. Cancro. Moving on, we have the Policy Committee. Is the ink dry on these minutes yet, Ms. Hall? The Policy Committee minutes, Ms. Hall.
The Policy Committee met last night, October 22nd, at the Farina Center. The meeting was called to order at 6:30 p.m. All committee members were in attendance, as well as Mr. Che Regina and Mrs. Sharon Montaigne. 4 policies that were previously discussed were recommended for first reading. They are 210 medications, Policy 218.2 terroristic threat, Policy 227 controlled substance, and Policy 313 evaluation of employees. 5 policies from the 5-year review cycle were recommended for first reading from the 300 series involving employees. They are 325 dress and grooming, 326 complaint process, 334 sick leave, 336 personal necessity leave, and 342 jury duty. And 2 policies from the 2-year review cycle were recommended for first reading, Policy 004 membership and Policy 008 organization. In old and new business, I shared that I attended 2 policy education sessions at the PSBA conference last week and identified some policies recommended by PSBA for modification due to changes in legislation. During courtesy of the floor, there was no public comment, and on a motion by Ms. Aubrey Larson, the meeting adjourned at 8:02 p.m.
Thank you, Ms. Hall. Intermediate unit, Mr. Ryan.
Thank you. The MCIU board met on September 26, 2018, the night after our board meeting. This was a relatively short meeting for the evening. Discussed were the approval of 3 initial budgets, one for early intervention evidence-based implementation grant and 2 Title I grants. As usual for this time of year, there were quite a few personnel matters. Of particular note was the hiring of a new facilities supervisor for the IU, as well as 2 administrative staff positions, one for a program administrator for behavioral health rehab, as well as the assistant director for human resources. One of the main topics that evening was talk on a new software that the IU has entered into an agreement with, the software development, and it's called Social Sentinel software. During the meeting, 14 school districts had approved the use of this software, with 9 school districts from Montgomery County. And speaking with Dr. Zerbe and Dr. Sosnovic, they are aware of this software, and it may in fact come in through the elementary or the education committee next month. And that was basically all that we had for the rest of the evening. Thank you.
That was a quick one. North Monco Technical Career Center, Ms. Drummond and Ms. Reese.
We met on October 15th. First up was just for everyone to save the date for the open house, which is February 14th from 6 to 8. Also, we wanted to make the public aware that the salon, restaurant, and bakery are now open, so you can call or go on the website for hours. I'm always touting that it's wonderful services, so if you can find some time during the day, during the week, if you could visit the bakery or the restaurant or the salon, I highly recommend it. And there are also weekly specials, so feel free to check the site. They gave an October enrollment update. A lot of movement happens in September depending on children's selections. And the official enrollment number is 1,074. The superintendents continued to do a monthly tour, and this time they did go to the salon. I don't know if Dr. Zerbe could make that one, but maybe that's okay. Just kidding. He might have been there. I just didn't see him in the picture. And then they had a big event Saturday, October 13th. I don't know if anyone was able to go because it was a little bit of late notice. So they're hoping to have this event again, but it was a way to raise money, and they weren't aware of the exact dollar amount, but Ford had a drive event, and 5 of their students volunteered all day. It was one of our first cold days. So for every driver, every person who test drove a Ford, the Technical Career Center was given some money. I'll find out exactly how much next month. The Tech Center also had in service, as did our district, on October 12th. And last up was we received the audit report. Chris Truman presented it, and if anybody on the board would like a copy, I have it right here. So I'd be happy to share it with you. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Reese. Student board representatives.
Methacton will host its annual blood drive on November 2nd, and students 16 or older can donate blood to the American Red Cross. Also, the Methacton Theater Company will perform A Christmas Carol, and this will take place on November 15th, 16th, and 17th at 7 p.m. in the high school auditorium. And the group has been rehearsing since September. Also, on November 5th, the Harlem Wizards will visit Methacton at 5 p.m. in the main gym. And this annual event raises funds for Minithon, and attendees can enjoy the game and the basketball skills on display. On October 25th, 58 new members will be inducted into the prestigious National Honor Society, and the students were selected based on their demonstrated scholarship, service, character, and leadership.
The homecoming tailgate was held on October 19th, and the homecoming dance was held on October 20th. Both went over as a success. Most of the fall sports seasons are currently coming to an end. Some notable ones is that girls tennis placed second in the PAC championships for doubles, And the following teams have made districts and will continue playing: boys soccer, field hockey, tennis, golf, and volleyball. Winter sports will be starting up in mid-November. And the first marking period is nearing an end. The second one will be starting November 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you. Lots of important dates to mention in there. Methacton Education Foundation, Ms. Krelovich.
Hi, I'm back. Jim is taking a break. That big check is a lot of work, so you're stuck with me. Over the last month, the foundation has been raising awareness about the foundation, everything that we're doing. We've been meeting with targeted parent groups in the district and holding information sessions. Through these events, we've been cultivating relationships with influential parents in the district who are helping us to spread the word about the foundation with their networks, which is great. Through these gatherings and our marketing efforts, we are actually reaching parents and neighbors who are connecting us to corporations that are looking to partner with public school districts like Wells Fargo, LexisNexis, and Pfizer, and we're in communication with all of them to raise even more money for Methacton. Finally, yesterday was the last official day of our very first ever staff campaign. We went into the campaign very strong, letting our staff know that we had 100% of our foundation board who contributed to the campaign. 100% of our school board contributed to the campaign. Thank you very much. Dr. Zerby, the first Methacton employee, gave to the campaign. And we didn't really know what to expect from our first ever faculty and staff campaign, since very few people even knew about the foundation in August. Because it was our first one, and because there was some stuff about a year ago that may have discouraged them from giving to the foundation. The good news is that while we are still counting, and someone just gave me a pledge card tonight, we will have official numbers by the end of the week, but right now we are at 30% of Methacton staff and faculty have participated in this staff giving campaign. That's nearly 200 Methacton employees, and we are so lucky to have all of them helping out the foundation and helping out Methacton. Their generosity has been overwhelming, and we are really excited to build on this success with our parent campaign, our Give 180 campaign that will be kicking off in the next couple of weeks. So thank you. Hopefully we'll have another big check for you next month too.
It's all wonderful news. Thank you, Ms. Krelovich. Superintendent's report, Dr. Zerby.
Thank you, Ms. President. This evening, I have one item. I want to bring notice for an event, a special meeting that's scheduled for November 8th at 6:30 at the high school auditorium located here in Eagleville, where I'll be presenting information on the current status of the district, including programs, enrollment, facilities, and a strategic vision for the future. As you know, the board has been discussing matters associated with facilities for some time, and the development of the master plan has perpetuated the need for us to address a potential investment into the Arrowhead Elementary School of about $14 million over the next 3 to 5 years. This meeting on November 8th is not an action meeting. It's not intended for the board to take any action or to vote on any matter that evening, but to hear, along with the public, information that I present, as well as for the board to accept public comment at the conclusion of the meeting. And then we will take that information, the presentation and the video of that meeting, and post that to the district website, and we will seek some additional opportunity to receive feedback over a period of time. We will use that information then to determine what next steps we may need to take with regards to the feedback and the information provided. But this was a matter that began discussing in the Property and Transportation Committee a number of months ago, and has now moved forward to a special meeting on November 8th, starting at 6:30 in the high school.
Thank you, Dr. Zerby. At this time, we'll take public comment on board action items, and as a reminder, it's helpful if you can tell us the specific action item that you're speaking on so that we can do our best to address it when we get to that point in the agenda. Do we have any public comment on board action items this evening? Dr. Malik.
Jim Malik, Worcester. I really can't give you a number because all the agendas are gone. But I can tell you it's the treasurer's report, page 3. I'll start this off with telling you that it's my opinion that your business manager is excellent. So it's the kiss of death, but I think he's excellent. So if we go to the all cash balance page dated September 30th, can you tell me whether or not the VIST investment account of $2.579 million is the account that's anticipated to be the surplus for 2018? Is that the account that contains what?
We can address it when we get to that point in the meeting.
Well, I need an answer so I can continue what I'm going to say. I mean, I don't know, because I'm looking at this page, it doesn't explain it. I don't know what these accounts are, so I need some help. I don't know what the account is. I have to guess. What is the account? What is it? Can you help me?
We'll address it when we get to that point in the meeting. You can continue.
Well, I'll continue then. I'm going to assume that that account is the anticipated account that's got the $2.5 million surplus in it. And at the Finance Committee, Mr. Earnshaw said you were going to provide us with an explanation or breakdown for that surplus. Can you provide that explanation? Because one of the items was, or one of the reasons was the $600,000 strike. The other item was the $800,000 increased revenue. Those are the two things we got at the Finance Committee. Did we get anything else? As a reason for the $2.5 million overtaxation of the taxpayer? By the board, not by him, by you. You overtaxed us by $2.5 million. I'm assuming that account is you overtaxing us, because that was your platform when you ran. 30 years worth of taxes, and you were going to change all that, but you didn't. You overtaxed, you overspent, and then you have a $2.5 million surplus. No help? Because I'm working on campaign flyers. VIST taxes held in escrow, 4.860. Is that the Shenandoah account? Oh, I know the answer. That's what it is. Are you aware of the current situation with that account? Maybe you can ask your solicitor. He can help you. Because I know more than he does. Because it's being transferred to another judge. Did you know that? I'll give you your update. It's being transferred to another judge, probably in the next couple weeks. That's when you're going to get your new trial date. I already told Mr. Earnshaw. You can write that one down. Thanks.
Anyone else with public comment on board action items this evening? Okay, Moving on, may I have a motion to approve the board meeting minutes attached of the work session on September 18th, 2018, and the board meeting minutes of September 25th, 2018? Ms. Reese, can I have a second? Ms. Drummond? Any comments from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor, we have to do a roll call vote, I believe, Mr. Summers. All right, so roll call, starting with Ms. Reese.
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
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 Okay, motion carries 9-0. Fiscal items, Mr. Bricker?
Tonight, for your approval, we have the list of bills, the treasurer's report, budgetary transfers, 2 parent transportation contracts, technology lease resolution 18-06, and transportation contract addendum number 2.
May I have a motion to approve the list of bills, the treasurer's report, and budgetary transfers as presented? Mr. Winters, is there a second? Mr. Earnshaw, any comments from the board? Mr. Earnshaw?
Yeah, Tim, could you just clarify the purpose of the 2 accounts mentioned before, the VIST investment account, whether that is the surplus, and also the taxes held in escrow?
Sure, the taxes held in escrow is in its own separate one. That is for Shenandoah and any other taxes that are paid in protest. The other account is just a bank account. It has no specific, this cash is fundable. We put them in different ones based on the interest rates that we're getting. There's no specific account set aside for anything like that.
So the fact that the amount in that account is approximately what the expected surplus is for the prior fiscal year is coincidental?
Just a coincidence.
Okay, thank you.
I just had a quick comment. I just wanted to thank you for your work with First Student and the flat rate. I know a lot went into that, so thank you very much.
Are there any other comments? Okay. Seeing none, then I'm going to take the vote. We'll start down here again. Ms. Reese?
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
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 Okay, the motion carries 9-0. May I have a motion to approve the parent transportation contracts as presented here this evening? Ms. Drummond, is there a second? Ms. Cancro, are there any comments from the board? Mr. Earnshaw?
Mr. Bricker, could you just provide a brief explanation of the purpose of these and what they're related to?
The parent contracts are due to parents driving the, that's the one, right? Yeah, the parent contracts are the ones that parents are driving their students to school. They get paid the mileage rate from their house to the school and then from the school back to their house. It's in unique situations that occur where this is necessary. Traditionally, they're on special needs transportation.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Seeing none, we'll start down here with Ms. Reese.
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
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 Okay, the motion carries 9-0. May I have a motion to approve the technology lease resolution number 18-06 as presented here this evening? Mr. Earnshaw, is there a second? Ms. Drummond, any comments from the board? Seeing none, we'll take our vote. Again, Ms. Reese?
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
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 Motion carries 9-0. May I have a motion to approve the second addendum to the first student contract as presented? Ms. Reese? Is there a second? Ms. Hull? Any comments from the board?
Just that I gave my comment a little early. I didn't realize we were separating everything. So thank you again, Mr. Bricker.
Mr. Winters?
I'm curious if Dr. Zerby and Dr. Bricker, if there's any been discussion about, yes, Mr. Bricker, sorry. When we do have that open position, does the simplification of the billing, one of the aspects of this position, I think, was to keep a look at the billing process? Does that change anything related to this open position?
I think that there's been a lot of discussion with Mr. Regina joining our team and evaluating that position. He's worked extensively over the last couple of months. I think the plan is for us to come with a recommendation in November. You're likely to see a recommendation at Property, Finance, and then before the whole board. So I don't have those details, but we will be rolling that recommendation out here in November.
Any other comments or questions? Ms. Hull?
I just want to echo what Andrea said. I know how much time you have spent in, making sure that our billing is correct, and I hope that this eases up some time for you to find more areas of savings for us.
Any other comments? Okay, we'll start down here with Ms. Reese.
Yes.
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 And the motion carries. Moving on to personnel items, Mr. Regina.
Thank you for the board's approval this evening. We have a number of items under personnel. The first is resignations for professional. We have one item. For resignations classified, we have two items. One of those is new from the work session agenda, and that's item 2, Megan Kelsch, and she is resigning to take a teaching position in another district. So just as an update to the board. Establishment of positions for professional, we have one item. Employment for professionals, we have one item. Employment of classified staff, we have 2 items. Under employment for long-term substitutes, under classified staff, we have one item. For change of status, classified, there's one item. For uncompensated leave for our professional staff, there are 3 items. For uncompensated leave for our classified staff, there are 3 items. For supplemental contracts, there are 3 items. There's 1 item for volunteers. For community education, there are 2 items, and there is 1 update under job descriptions. Thank you.
All right. Are there any items here that any board members would like to take separately? All right, then I am going to suggest that we approve these in one fell swoop. So can I have a motion to approve the personnel items A through P as listed here on the agenda this evening? Is there Mr. Ryan, is there a second? Ms. Hull? Okay, any comments from the board on these items?
The only question I had was the Worcester one for the ELD. Did that go from a full-time to a half position, or was that for the position number? Yes.
That's correct. We had transferred, we're looking to
Transferred over to Woodland.
move to a new
Assist.
staff.
All right, great.
Ms. Hull?
I think we ask this every time, but there appear to be some vacancies still within the winter coaching positions. I'm assuming we're still ongoing with our search in all of those.
Yes, there's actually, I believe there are 2 that are still potentially vacant, but I can get an update for you as soon as possible. I'll be meeting with them this week.
All right, seeing no other comments, and I'm going to start down here with Mr. Neverett this time.
Yes.
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 All right, our personnel items carry 9-0. Curriculum and programs, Dr. Katona.
Thank you. There is actually no action to be taken here this evening. This is notice of the administration placing the 2019-2022 comprehensive plan on public display in the district's administration office and posting it to the district's website for a 28-day public review period and comment period prior to board action at the November 27th voting meeting and submission to PDE. And that would go up tomorrow.
Thank you for all your work on the comprehensive plan. Policy, Dr. Zerby.
this evening. There are 11 policies for first reading, and for action this evening, there are 4 policies for second reading. Policy 314, physical examination, 318, tardiness, 322, gifts, and 324, personnel files.
All right. Can I have a motion to approve the 4 second reading policies as presented here this evening? Ms. Hull, is there a second? Mr. Ryan, any comments from the board?
I just have a question, and I apologize because your meeting was last night. I didn't get a chance to read every word of one of the policies, but the board policy 313, evaluation of employees, it looks like we have to have our evaluation guided partly by the Department of Education. And I can't tell from this by how, is it the majority? And maybe I can talk to policy, before the second reading, but I was just curious, is it all the state? It looks like it's a combination of the state and the district. And maybe we don't know that yet, and that's fine. And I just want to look through this one before second read.
And if you have comments, please send them to me and copy the chairperson.
Okay, and I'll read it more carefully when I, as well, just so I can ask intelligent questions.
No, it is a lot of information. There's 11 here that, with the help of my secretary and the support from the team last night, we were able to, bring these forward.
Right.
Some with no changes, but some with some change.
Right, okay. I'll be in touch, Ms. Hall.
Any other comments or questions on policy? Ms. Hall?
If I can just comment on that, I think some of the confusion might be because we have, the 300 series are now all employees, and they're not specific to professional employees. So some of the wording was altered in a small way on that one to make it fit all of the employees.
And I just was curious about I believe that we have to follow the state pretty heavily, and I just have issues with the way the state would like us to do it. So I was curious how much leeway we have there. Is more of my none. Okay. Darn. Okay.
Any other comments on policy? Seeing none, we'll start with Mr. Navarrete. Approval of these 4 policies here.
Yes.
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 All right, and that motion carries 9-0. Gifts and donations, Dr. Zerbe.
There are 3 gifts listed and donations listed this evening. To accept a gift from the Methacton Education Foundation for the We Run Out Hunger, as the check was presented this evening, for $14,560.23. The second one is a gift from Kurt and Allison Reichwein for 4 iTunes gift cards to encourage student participation and building spirit, a value of $40. And the third one is accept additional donation for the summer library program of $440 from the Shenandoah Foundation for a total donation of $3,300. Next on the under other is our trips. A trip for the Methacton High School Key Club to Keystone, Colorado, February 14th through the 18th, 2019. There's no cost to the district. The next one is approve a trip for the Methacton High School Model UN Club to New York on November 15th through the 18th. There's no cost to the district. And the last item under other is interim right to know officer. We recommend that you appoint Mr. Che Regina, Director of Human Resources and Labor Relations, as a district's interim right to know officer.
Thank you, Dr. Zerbe. May I have a motion to approve the 3 items, all 3 sections of items under other, so all the items under A, B, and C here this evening. Mr. Winters, and is there a second? Ms. Drummond, any comments from the board? Seeing none, we'll move right into the vote. Mr. Navarrete?
Yes.
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 And the motion carries 9-0. Dates for board members' calendars. We've got a busy, busy month ahead of us here. Do we have anything under old business? All right. Oh, yes, Mr. Hernshaw.
Just a question for Dr. Zerby, Mr. Bricker. At the last Finance Committee meeting with respect to the 2017-2018 results, I know that we expect to have the auditors coming next month to the Finance Committee meeting. So by then, I assume numbers are going to be pretty much final. And we'd also talked about kind of some of the analysis work that we were looking for with respect to that surplus, really actual versus budget for that year, actual versus what we had forecasted. We had forecasted a surplus, I think, of about $500,000 when we passed the resolution to use that surplus to fund capital spending. And now it's obviously 5 times that amount. So I'd like to get an understanding of, and it's really to help us going forward, that analysis, why the actual results came in so much higher than forecast, so we can refine our forecasting process. And then the final piece was just getting an understanding of, given the results for 2017-18, I know we had some one-time items in there that won't repeat themselves, but are there any items that would impact the 18-19 budget? And I just want to make sure that we're working towards having that analysis ready for the November 14th Finance Committee meeting, so we can have some discussion in that regard. So, and I know it's a decent amount of work, just to make sure that we're kind of on track and can be able to pull some of that together.
Yes, we are.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else for old business? New business?
I have something.
Yes, Ms. Drummond.
I just wanted to report about the PSBA annual conference that myself, Mr. Ryan, Mrs. Hull, and Dr. Zerby attended from October 17th to 19th. Last week, we heard speakers on a variety of topics relevant to school district functions, and we attended learning sessions on topics including special education, policy, facilities, and mental health. The student showcase, where music and theatrically talented students from districts all over Pennsylvania performed for all attendees, was particularly enjoyable. We learned a lot, and we plan to use this information in our continuing work for the district.
Thank you, Ms. Drummond. Is there anything else for new business? Mr. Ryan?
Just one thing real quick. I want to keep everybody updated that the Joint Labor Management Committee did meet again yesterday. We continue to make progress towards our final recommendation by the deadline, and another meeting has already been scheduled for the next coming weeks. So, thank you.
That's great news. Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Anything else for new business? All right, at this time, we will have courtesy of the floor.
Okay, Marilyn Teed, Worcester. I have these cards here, but I see that you put up a fence, so I don't know how I'm going to be able to get these cards passed out.
Please hand them to Mr.
Very good,
Regina.
thank you. So I'm here because there's 2 things that happened since last month. One is that I got an email from Mr. Zerby stating that he selects the curriculum, and he only selects curriculum that is from the Pennsylvania Department of Education. Now, all this is on my website, on my YouTube channel, and so you can read the email for yourself. I've documented all the emails. So you can go there, Maryland Spirit Level Gmail, and you can see all the things I'm telling you tonight. But if he selects all the curriculum and he only gets it from the Pennsylvania Department of Ed, then why do we have a curriculum administrator here in this school? Why spend the money? So he was also told me he was not going to look into this at all, and he called it a belief. This is not a belief. There was nothing about religion on those banners that I had here last month. It was all scientific evidence. So there was nothing belief about it. It's not a religion. The other thing I wanted to address was on Friday night I came to the homecoming football game. And under my rights of free speech, First Amendment rights of free speech, I brought my banners, the same I had here, nothing profane about them. And I stood at the gate. I did not go into the gate. I was not rude to anyone. And I had 5 frantic adults surrounding me like bees. And they were trying to get me out and saying I couldn't be there. And it was restricted access property and all that. I know my free speech rights. This is public property. Yes, no one can come in when the school is in session and break into a classroom. That's true, and I never would do such a thing. But out there on the sidewalk at a public event, that is free speech right and protected. So I am here just to clarify these issues. I have all that on video, what happened that night. And there are regrettably 2 foul words that no student heard. Because when I speak, they come to my recording device here, which is on, just as yours is on there. So I say something to myself, it gets recorded, but no student heard that, okay? So I just want you to understand that this is a serious issue, that the flat earth has evidence, scientific evidence, and that I am here to issue a challenge to this school district for a debate. This is what civilized adults do to resolve issues. Let's have a debate, and let's get all the evidence out on the table. If you want to teach the heliocentric spinning globe model, then you should be willing to defend it. So I am challenging you all to a debate. I don't care if you have students, I don't care if you have adults or teachers there, that's fine. But I am issuing that challenge, so I guess the ball is in your court. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Teed. Anyone else for courtesy of the floor? Dr. Malik.
Jim Malik, Worcester. I heard Dr. Zerbe talk about we had discussions about the Arrowhead project, numerous discussions. When were these discussions? I've been here for these meetings. I haven't heard any discussions about the Arrowhead project. I actually reviewed my video before I came here. You know, I'm baffled as to when we had these discussions. This Arrowhead project is the best kept secret since the Manhattan Project. You'd have to agree with me. The best kept secret since the Manhattan Project. Other than Mr. Navarrete challenging the board to vote away the closure option, that wasn't really a discussion. At the 10/8/18 Property Committee meeting, I asked who gave Dr. Zerbe the authority to create the timeline to build the $25 million elementary school. Mr. Navarrete was confrontational. Admittedly, there's no board policy that permits him to do this. I can find nothing in the school code that allows him to do it. The board did not authorize this action at a public meeting or in executive session because I asked the question in writing. Now, Dr. Zerbe, have you read your contract lately? Have you read it?
Dr. Malik, please proceed.
Well, first of all, the superintendent shall have a seat on the board of directors and the right to speak on all issues before the board. So you do have the authority to talk. So whoever took it away from you, your contract says you can talk. But more importantly, the superintendent is responsible for the administration of the schools under the direction of the board of directors. You understand what that means. You're not a rogue. You're under the direction of the board of directors. You know what that means? You got to take direction from these guys. You can't do stuff on your own. Case in point, at the 8/21/18 meeting, you could not prepare the agenda for the 8/28/18 meeting without a recommendation and guidance from the board regarding a new solicitor. Remember that meeting? You needed a recommendation from all these guys. You couldn't even prepare an agenda, let alone a timeline for a $25 million school. So my question is, who gave you guidance on a timeline for building a $25 million school? Can somebody answer that question? Your contract says you can answer and not turn into a paralyzed clam. Even you have to smile at that because you know your contract says you can answer. Something is not right. I know. I spent 20 years doing forensics. I know what's going on. I know there's conversations going on. So please tell me who told you. Can you tell me?
Dr. Mullick, please wrap up.
I'm done.
Anyone else for courtesy of the floor? Mr. Bickelman.
Joe Bickelman from Audubon. Mr. Navarrete, this isn't meant to be mean or anything, but you're starting to remind me of that 1984 show, Max Headroom. It was a talking head like yourself.
I've actually made the comment multiple times myself. You're right.
Yeah, and it was a talking head like yourself, and it was artificial intelligence, and he got his name from looking across the room above the door. It was Max Headroom, maximum headroom, so he named himself Max Headroom. But that's what you're starting to remind me of. But no meanness intended there. The district is now sitting on a $10 million surplus, okay? There's $10 million surplus. Sometimes we use words like surplus, resources, things like that, but it's cash. It's $10 million in cash or a short-term receivable, but it's $10 million. And there's a resolution, and that's as of June 30th. Okay, the audit's done. The financial statement will say $10 million fund balance, and there's a resolution in place to send the excess over 8%, which is the maximum allowed under state law, to take care of capital improvements. And that exists at June 30th, 2018. So there's practically $2 million or $2.5 million that has to go to a capital reserve account or to the projects that are going on in the bond fund or something like that. But that represents about almost 4% of a tax increase. 4% drives out about $2.8 million. So they have about 3.5% of a tax increase was that surplus last year, the results from operations. So I just want to make a point that that's cash, $10 million in cash, all right? There are people out there living in ranch homes, small homes, that can't afford their homes. I have a brother in one in Exeter School District. I'm sure there's a lot in this school district, okay? And something needs to change with the real estate tax funding of schools in this district. Not this district, but across the state. It really needs to change. There's a lot of elderly that are hanging on to their houses. My mom's in a nursing home. She gets $1,046 in Social Security, worked 30 years for Boscov's, paid for her ranch home, and $3,200 is taxes. You know, and these people are living longer and they're losing their homes. You see it on TV, they can't afford their prescriptions and things like that. So you need to keep that in mind when you're talking about maybe building a $25 million new Arrowhead or renovating it for $12 to $14 million when you have the capacity to to put the kids in the rooms that are available. The capacity being created by Skyview, which was based on 6,500 kids this year, and we have 4,700 kids this year. And we have a middle school that has 2 grades in it when it was built for 3 grades with a lot more students at the time. So there's only 2 grades in that building. So you need to restructure, realign the grades, and make use of your building capacity. Because there's people out there hurting, paying their taxes. So, and of the 1,046 my mom gets, she has to pay $134 for Part B Social Security. So that's $132 off that 1,046. All right? So that's what's going on with people out there. I have firsthand experience with it. So just to let you know. All right?
Thank you, Mr. Bickelman. Mr. Andrews.
John Andrews, or as someone said, Dr. Andrews, which is incorrect, Lower Providence. I've been doing enrollment projections now for, I guess, a dozen years, so I'm beyond the novice category. I gave you the output of an enrollment projection in August that was based on a unique model, totally based on housing sales. Whether it's new homes, existing homes, tax sales, sheriff sales, homes being transferred for $1 within families. And recently, I've come across reports from outstanding brokers as well as the National Association of Realtors about how static existing sales are in this country. In fact, this year they're down on a national level. They're down for the northeast part of the country. So, and also we've had a steady downtrend in births here in Methacton. So I'm going to be revising that projection that I did in August, and it'll be lower. Now, in August, the projection indicated that it would be at least 2025 before we would be running out of room on the presumption that the Arrowhead building was closed for financial reasons. So, it's to be determined how many more years of adequate capacity we have due to things such as mortgage rates going up, limited home supply for existing sales numbers. And people living longer in their homes. Also, families are buying their starter homes later in life. So there's a lot going on to indicate that we're not, again, looking at a 6,500 student projection, as was the case that had board members back in 2005, 2006, buffaloed with fiction rather than fact. And relative to that, Dr. Zerbe this evening made mention of the special meeting. He didn't mention the word Arrowhead, he mentioned property. And he mentioned, I think, $14 million for fixing Arrowhead. Well, and then also he mentioned the special meeting, which it would be on a Thursday, and he indicated that public input would be shared after that meeting with the board, but he made no mention of adequate time for public presentations relative to property issues. And I think that it appears some on the board don't have an open mind as to what all the issues are, what the facts are, and what the community can support. So I encourage the board to have an open mind and listen and read and ask questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Andrews. Is there anyone else for courtesy of the floor? Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn? Mr. Ryan, Mr. Winters, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.